So the government provided an offer of 3% for each year of the enterprise agreement, and then provided efficiency measures according to the government that gave the Commissioner of Public Employment superpowers to make any changes to the enterprise agreement. In their offer, they did not recognise any of improvements that our members were seeking for work health and safety matters to ensure they have the correct fatigue breaks and other improvement allowances so they could have attraction and retention addressed in their enterprise agreement.
All right, well, let's start off with the cash. So 3% per year over the course of the agreement. What's wrong with that?
Well, the thing is, you've got to look at Adam, from the previous government, there was a wage freeze. So all the workers that were on the NTPS General Enterprise Agreement lost out. They were paid a cash bonus instead of actually having real wages. So they've had no real wage growth over the last 4 years of their working under the enterprise agreement. But
as you said, Erina, early, the agreement that the workers agreed to was we will forego those increases for cash payments, and the cash payments were significant. You can't ask for one hand and then ask for the other. That's not fair.
Well, what does fair mean, Adam? Because basically you've got an agreement with over 15,000 workers. And as you know, you don't have to have, every worker doesn't have to agree to that enterprise agreement. So it was a small amount of workers agreed to that. And unfortunately, that's the system. And they voted up the enterprise agreement.
How much money, how much were those cash payments in total over that period of time?
Well, some of those cash payments, they started off at, I think it was 4,000 and 2,000, and then I think it was 2,000 each year of the enterprise agreement.
Yeah, so it was $8,000 or $10,000 in total, wasn't it?
Yes, but that's not real wage growth, Adam.
So now what are you arguing? Are you arguing now that despite the fact that people were paid those $10,000 extra cash in lieu of the wage growth, that now they should be caught up with everybody else? So basically the government gave everyone $10,000 for free, is that it?
No, it's not about that. It's about we need real wage growth. Giving people money as a bonus so they don't have a wage is not real wage growth. You're not getting paid super on that. You're not getting paid, being paid correctly on your overtime. I know where you're going with this, Adam, but there is no real wage growth for these workers. Erina
Early is the Northern Territory Secretary of the United Workers Union. The annual CPI growth at the moment, I think, is 3.2% for the year ended September 2025. Would you accept that, like a CPI measured at 3.2%? Would that be enough? Would that be acceptable?
No, it's not acceptable. The government have set the benchmark now of providing the police 5, 4, 3 and 3 for the enterprise agreement. That is the benchmark.
Yeah. Have you spoken to the Northern Territory Government about that, about why they're offering police officers some amount of money and then the Northern Territory Public Service considerably less?
No, they're refusing to come to the table. When it got voted down by the workers, the formal agreement went out to vote. It got voted down by the workers, and the government has refused to come to the table. Instead, they've gone to the Fair Work Commission to lodge a dispute.
So the cleaners and the Fair Work Commission, they have lodged that against the public service. So does that include the people who are considering taking protected industrial action, the cleaners, yes, the caterers, the personal care assistants?
Yes, that's correct, Adam.
And what would the general public service, are they also considering taking protected industrial action?
So you've got the other unions involved. So we know that we've got the chief correctional officers under the CPSU. They're currently in protected action. And you've got the professional Australian workers. Their members are taking protected action. And then you've got the health services union. They've got members taking protected action. But the one that comes, which will be in the next 10 days under United Workers, is the biggest amount of workers who will be taking protected action. And our members are walking off the job.
So how difficult is that for the workers who clearly would care about the place they work because they're working in the hospital and the medical industry? They care for those patients. That's why they work there. How difficult is it for them to walk off the job?
It is really, really difficult. It's a really big step for them, Adam, but they feel really passionate about this. And these are some of the lowest paid workers, and these are our members who work so hard. Like I said, the cleaning, the catering, You've got your grounds people, your sterilisation, your personal care assistants, sonographers, radiographers, the morgue, all of them. They're so passionate and upset about the way they've been treated in the EA negotiations, they want to take a stand.
3 or 4 years is the negotiations for?
The negotiations have been going for just over 10 months.
Yeah, but for the next agreement, is it a 3-year agreement or a 4-year agreement?
The government's proposing a 4-year enterprise agreement.
Okay, so what would you find acceptable there? Is that 16% over 4 years? Would that be acceptable?
Yes, if they're offered the same as police, as 5, 4, 3 and 3, that is a benchmark.
Okay. And what about...
Sorry, Adam, they need to address the work health and safety issues.
Yeah, could just very briefly go through them. So that's the pay offer. You want the match to what the police have received. What about the other worker conditions? What's your main issue there?
So our big issues there are the work health and safety. We need to ensure that our members have appropriate breaks. Our members are constantly working long hours, and they get called out, etc., and they're not getting breaks. We need to ensure they're getting breaks, and the government's refusing to address the work health and safety issues in the enterprise agreement.
Caterers, cleaners, personal care assistants, radiographers, are they all walking off at the same time? And what type of damage is that going to do to our hospitals? Will you be bringing our hospitals to a standstill?
Well, I think the government already has our hospitals at a standstill anyhow. As you know, we've had code yellows. There's a lot of issues going on. The first priority for our members is always the patients, but they're that passionate. They are organising a 1-hour walk-off in the next 10 days, and that will be automatic all across the NT. All the hospitals will be walking out at the same time. At the same time.
So the hospitals will be brought to a standstill. What do you say to patients that might be needing the urgent medical attention at that time?
All patients still, their clinical safety will always be a priority, but the workers, someone needs to care for the people who care for us. And these workers are making a stand, and we should be supporting them.
Adam Steer on ABC Radio Darwin. We've got to make sure that they are. But, all of this, right, so everything that we've discussed this morning when it comes to health, and then I read in the paper this morning that more than 1,000 health workers, health support workers, are going to be walking off the job in public hospitals right across the Northern Territory in the next 10 days. That is what a union delegate has warned, the United Workers Union. Those members who work in health support services in NT hospitals have this week voted to take protected industrial action. So over the next 10 days, droves of workers, including cleaners, caterers, personal care assistants, radiographers and sonographers, they're all going to be looking at walking off the job in Territory hospitals in response to the ongoing Northern Territory Public Sector General Enterprise Agreement negotiations. Now, I've got to tell you, I'm all for the worker. However, doing this at a time when we have got code yellows at 2 of our hospitals stinks to me. It actually, I get that they're fighting for their rights. I get that they are fighting for what they feel is right and what they feel they deserve. But to do it at a time when the hospitals are at their knees, I just don't think it's right.
Yeah, look, Katie, this is a frustrating one for everyone. We want to see workers supported. But every time we talk about this, I want to be really clear with all your listeners that the head of I'm just going to get the name exactly right, the United Workers Union NT Secretary is Erina, a former Labor President. We had for years, obviously, a Labor government. We didn't see a lot of these mass walkouts, and now that the CLP are in, we're seeing that. So as a government, we want to support our workers. We're working with everyone to ensure that they get respectable pay deals, and we've done that with the police, and you've seen the police come out and say that it's the best pay deal in 20 years. So we'll continue to work with all the government workers across government.
Has that set a precedent, though, now? Like, I get it, right, because our police are frontline. They are out there dealing with some of the most dangerous situations that we have, and I am not undervaluing any of our healthcare workers in any way. I have spoken for a long time about the wonderful work that they do. But have you now set a precedent with that pay deal with the Northern Territory Police that all other public servants are really expecting the same?
No, and I want to be really clear about that. The government's position is a 3% across government. That's the position. Obviously, the police, there were negotiations there, but at the end of the day, Katie, if we can't come to an agreement, it will go to the, I believe it's arbitration, the public employment minister will know more about all this, but it's important to ensure that we're supporting workers. We want to ensure that our workers feel valued because we need these people. My mother worked in the health health department for 35 years, you know, and it's really important that we support people right across the departments to ensure that they know they're valued here in the Northern Territory and that we support them to stay in the Northern Territory.